Now, we have some people sitting in the back from Call Revenue. They're going to come in and they're going to show you some of the things that I've been working with them very diligently to provide a report that allows you guys to track everything you have. Now, I'm not going to bring them up yet, but more importantly, when I ran my dealerships, I had 800 numbers. 80. If I sponsored a fire department for a certain, baseball or softball game, that 800 number was on the van. They didn't want to put the 800 number on the van, they didn't get any money. A little league team, if I could put the 800 number on their back, I would put the 800 number on their back. But since it's not big enough, their show is not big enough to have 800 numbers, we'll put it on the van. Mailer, 800 number. Next week, I do the same, I use the same company, but I use a different letter, different 800 number. Every one of my BDC people had a different 800 number for them to call back on. Why am I doing that, Joe? My BDC people, there's 12 of them, their callback number, I gave every one of them an 800 number. Why did I do that? Track what? Their callbacks, right? Now we all know, how do we do that? Because if they're making calls, if they're making outgoing calls, they're leaving some messages. If they leave messages, we found out if you give the customer an 800 number to call back, that percentage of them calling back is much higher. Number two, how do I know they're going to call back if I'm not tracking them? If this girl tells me I called and left 100 messages today, if they leave 100 messages, we pretty much know there's going to be a lot of callbacks. But if she says I left 100 messages, I didn't get any callbacks, is she a liar? Absolutely. Does people lie? Is it okay for, no, never, right? But we want to catch them, right? So that's okay. So we can give them the opportunity not to lie by telling them, hey, we're tracking everything, so they're not going to lie anymore, right? So back to the advertising. If I do a radio ad, I put an 800 number. Now, I wouldn't put an 800 number on the radio ad that is not easy to remember, would I? How about a 30-second TV spot? Should we put an 800 number that it's easy to remember, or is like have 520 different dominations on there? 1-800-579-2689. Okay, great. I'm not going to remember that. I got 30 seconds to see it, right? So I'm going to have to find something that is going to be easy to remember. How about a 30-minute infomercial? Should it be an easy number to remember? Who cares? Takes 30 minutes. They're watching that number till they drop. Right? Put whatever number you want. They're going to call you. Now, how do you track it also along with the 800 numbers? Can anybody tell me? Well, that's the 800 number. What else? What's a different way to track it? Floor traffic. How do you do that? Master log. How do you ask the customer? By the way, how'd you hear about us, right? I know of a lot of old ways people say, I know what radio station works because when I appraise the car, I always look at the dial and I make a copy of it, right? That's an old car guy trick. Another way of people say, we have a master log. What did you find out from the master log? If you put TV on the top, how many times do they pick TV? Now another thing that we want to track, by the way, but keeping the tracking part, the floor traffic is, a lot of people are depending on floor traffic to find out what works and what doesn't work. I'm here to tell you guys, you don't want to abandon the fact that you want to try to measure your floor traffic and try to see what gets sold in the F&I office and all that, but it's not a very accurate way because there's a lot of human beings involved in it. Every time you have my dad told me, never bet on anything that can talk. All right, because chances are they can be talked into different things. And what do? I go and bet on the Patriots. Anyway, moving right along. So that being said, we want to just make sure that we combine a lot of different ways to track it, and now we want to take that tracking to a much higher level. See, I don't want to just track and see how many calls I got, but I actually, if you spent $100,000 on a campaign and you got 100 phone calls, and then you went out and spent $1,000 and got 10 calls, which one is working better? Well, it's not how much money I made, it's how what? What's the average cost per lead? Right? So if that campaign gave me 100 phone calls, I can't say that that campaign really worked because we're going to have to go to cost per lead. Cost per lead. That's the new word that we want everybody to adopt. What's my cost per lead? What's my cost per lead? Now, how do you figure that out? Well, if you're me, what I did is I asked my BDC manager to have a meeting with her every Tuesday morning. And on Tuesday morning, she had a lot of spreadsheets. She had a lot of backup. I mean, you should have seen it, man. You think that there's the president ready to invade Iraq or something like that. And what we did is we sat down and she started rolling out those pages one by one. Out. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, this particular lead said that they delivered 100 leads. What did we spend? You spent $2,700 on. Okay, how much is it? Well, it's $27 a lead. Awesome. Now, show me that we did get 100 leads. Because I'm not going to take her word for it. So now she's going to have the backup to show 100 leads, right? And then we're on and on and on and on. And we keep doing that till we what? To figure out what works and what doesn't work. We found out that there was some lead sources that say, hey, we're great lead sources. We're going to charge you $30 for them. Because they work. And we're car guys, so we what? Believe everything. Ink up. Game on. Let's go. $30, I'm going to close a whole lot of those. And then I go and buy a bunch of them, and guess what? Same stinking percentage. So do I need to continue paying $30 for those leads? Should I go and switch to pay for the $25 a lead? A TV ad, I put a certain infomercial. It's running, it's doing good. Now it's not working. Good, time to stop. Stop right away. Some of us abandon advertising campaign much faster, but at least if I don't want to abandon it, I want to give it a shot because I have a gut feeling, because everybody says what? Listen, counsel, read a book, have a meeting, pray over it, and when it's all done, trust your gut feel, and chances are you're going to be right. Well, if you feel that that particular campaign is working, stick with it, but at least keep monitoring it, right? I don't want you to fly blind. Who understand what I'm trying to get as far as tracking is concerned? Do you guys agree that this is a good, prudent business practice? Do you feel that people out there in this world are actually doing that? In the car business, more and more people are doing that, and I think it should be part of your daily activities. When you sign up for a direct mail campaign and they promise you a certain amount of return, you want to know how many calls you got. And more importantly, you want to know how many unique calls you got. Because we found out a lot of our customers, once they get a hold of an 800 number, what do? Save it. And now they're going to wear it out. Why? Because it's free. But they're going to call you on that number all the time. And if that customer calls you 3 times, and their cousin calls you 3 times, and their daughter calls them 3 times, well, that particular customer is what? They just generated 9 calls. Will it skew your average? Of course it will. That's why you got to go for unique calls.